Hi, everyone. Looking forward to the weekend with sunshine 85 this afternoon, clear 51 tonight, sunny 85 tomorrow. Valentine's Day Sunday, sunny high of 84. Staff meteorologist John Weatherby, Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Right now, 73 degrees. The Dow is up 224 points at 15,884. S&P 500 up 25 at 1853. The NASDAQ up 44 at 4310. Reporting for Money Radio, I'm Ken Morgan.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Roth, and you are listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're a weekly show found right here on Money Radio, 1510 AM, 99.3 FM, and on the World Wide Web at moneyradio1510.com. And if you're just tuning in, just like the intro said, our show Health Futures is it's a show about how our aging adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And I'm able to do this show because I bring incredible guests on to talk about the aging adult population. My name is Bob Roth. I'm your host, and I and my family own a home care agency right here in Phoenix, Arizona called Cypress Home Care Solutions. And what we do is we enable many people in our communities to be able to age successfully in place by being able to have caregivers that have incredible passions for what they do. They have heart, and they want to make a difference in individuals' lives. And we're able to do that by delivering those caregivers. And those caregivers, what they do is they perform activities of daily living. And what does that mean? Activities of daily living mean we assist our clients with getting dressed. We assist our clients with meals. We assist them in getting to their appointments on time. We also assist by reminding them to take medications. So as I said at the top of the hour, this show is successful because we bring great guests. And today is no different. I am very pleased to have in the studio with me today, I've got Derrick Jones, and he's the VP of Marketing with Clear Care Online. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's good to have you here on the show. I just wanted to share with our listening audience, Derrick is with a company that is incredibly progressive in the technology space. And I also want to share with our listening audience, we're going to have a guest that's going to be phoning in on the second segment. His name is Kenneth Shinozuka, and he is the creator of a company called Sensa RX, and their product is called SafeWander.com. And Derrick, you and I got a chance to meet this kid, and he literally is a kid. He's 17 years old, Doogie Howser. He reminds me of him, and when he calls in on the second segment, we're going to learn a little bit more about Kenneth.
You know, he really took the show in San Francisco, so I'm looking forward to reconnecting with him.
He did, and which show Derrick is referring to, and I've talked about it here on the program. I got a chance in November to go to San Francisco, and I got a chance to attend this conference. It was called Aging 2.0 Age Tech. And it really is where Silicon Valley meets the aging adult population. And for me, Derrick, it's amazing to see that there's the interest, the movement that is going on. Now, Clear Care is based in the Bay Area. You're based, I think you showed me, you're right next to Uber, and you're next to some of the other technology Silicon Valley companies. This conference, I believe this was the second one. The first one had maybe 70 or 80 attendees. This one had over 800.
It went from being a basement event to being one of the largest events in Silicon Valley. And I think a large part of that is everyone recognizes that technology is disrupting everything. The way you call a cab, the way you book a hotel. And in Silicon Valley, the hot concepts have been messaging apps. They've been other technology providers. But senior care and how we're going to solve some of the biggest challenges of our lifetime with the healthcare cost and how we want to age successfully. A lot of those concepts and innovations are coming right in Silicon Valley. It's a really hot topic now.
It's a hot topic, but for me, it's amazing to see these entrepreneurs. And many of the ones I met there were PhDs. Now, Kenneth, we'll meet him on the next segment. He's a high school kid, and he'll be somebody great someday. He already is somebody great. But I met so many people that saw the need, and their story was very similar to Kenneth, and they wanted to come up with a solution, to problem solve. How can technology help? Let's face it, we got 10,000 people a day turning 65. By 2056, there are going to be more people 65 and older than there are going to be 18 and younger. There aren't enough caregivers. We know by 2030 there are going to be less than 4 nationally. And here in Arizona, there are going to be less than 3 available caregivers for every person that's 80 plus. So we need technology. We need these assistive devices.
Yeah, I think what you saw at that event, and just for the listeners out there, is there's a focus on how to help the aging population be aware of what their options are. You know, the days of just having the option to go to an assisted living or a nursing home is not. You have so many more options. Home care, like the service that you offer, but family members too. The way to keep them connected. A lot of family members are all over the country now. How do you keep the communication? How do you keep the coordination of families? How do you make sure that the finances are in the right place? Every single part of what we call the continuum of care in our space, which is from the day someone is eligible for their AARP card, from the day that they might have a terminal diagnosis to death and even post-death. There are technology concepts that want to make each one of those stages something that you might not necessarily look forward to, but something that will the technology can help enhance the experience and make sure that you can focus on really caring for somebody instead of having to focus on some of the little things that these products and services can provide.
You know, it's interesting. I'll share with our listening audience, and this is not meant to be a commercial for them, but this technological advance happened probably about 6 or 8 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer, and that's CaringBridge. And if those that aren't aware of CaringBridge, and there are others that are like that out there, when you have somebody that you love that is going through the stages of actively dying, that's what we say in our community, you know, you want to be able to touch base with everybody, and it's really hard to do so. But CaringBridge is a platform where people can get updates, and you don't have to pick up the phone, and they get to know what's going on. So technology is so vital to the delivery of care. And you know, I want to talk to you more about this, Derrick, and I want to talk to our listening audience about it too. I know we're coming up on a break, but the news that has come out over the last 2 weeks about home care, and I'm talking about big giants like Amedisys, which is a publicly traded company getting into the space. We're talking about healthcare systems in California that just bought up a bunch of home care franchises, are legitimizing the work that we're doing because people want to age in place if they can. And while Cypress has been around for 22 years, this is really a new trade. It's a new space.
It's just the start.
It is just the start. And with that, this is just the start of our show. And we're coming up on the end of our first segment. You're listening to Bob Roth from Cypress Home Care Solutions. I've got Derrick Jones in the house. He's with a great company called Clear Care. And I've got Kenneth Shinozuka coming on to the show in the next segment. We're going to learn a little bit about Safe Wander, and we're going to learn a little bit about how if you have a loved one that has dementia or Alzheimer's, you can keep them safe and keep them from wandering. You're listening to Health Futures. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Corey Schuyler, owner of Core Fitness. My team of certified personal trainers want to help you look great and get into great shape. We'll listen to your needs and develop a tailored workout that will get you results. We help our clients lose weight, improve their balance, get stronger, and feel awesome. You will have more confidence whether out in the town or playing your favorite sport. You can try us out for 21 days for $21. Call us at 480-620-3000. Email us at Corey, C-O-R-Y, at corefitnessaz.com.
Congress has been busy, while in the news with the budget, but behind closed doors, amendments to the budget that affect your retirement planning. Last December, it was turning the pension protection laws upside down. Then Friday, October 30th, it was stopping Social Security filing choices for all but a few. This has now changed the landscape of retirement planning. How will it affect you? Well, it all depends. When's your birthday? When will you be 66? Are you born in 1954 or later? If you aren't exactly sure how these new rules are impacting your retirement plan, then call Fleming Financial Services at 480-632-8770. That's 480-632-8770. Certified financial planner Nancy Fleming and her team will help you develop a plan to create a secure retirement for you. Otherwise, you may be in for a big surprise. By contacting Fleming Financial Services, you may be provided with information regarding the purchase of insurance or investment products.
Real investing is not exciting.
Yay!
Nobel Prize winner Paul Samuelson said, investing should be more like watching paint dry or watching grass grow. If you want excitement, take $800 and go to Las Vegas or your local stockbroker. I'm Don McDonald, and most of what passes for investing is gambling in disguise. If you're ready to become a real investor, join me and co-host Tom Cox Saturday at 1 p.m. for Talking Real Money on Money Radio 1510 AM and 99.3 FM.
Talking Real Money.
LiveWatch helps you connect and respond up to 10 times faster in an emergency. LiveWatch has no long-term contracts. Save up to 50% off home security. Call 855-LiveWatch or visit livewatch.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're a weekly show found right here on Money Radio 1510 AM, 99.3 FM, and the World Wide Web at moneyradio1510.com. If you're just tuning in, you're catching our second segment. And if you missed the first segment, you can catch it right up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. There's a radio button up at the top and midway down our homepage to click on to hear this episode. And you can hear probably about 90 others that we've been doing and bringing to you for the past 3 years. So if you missed the last segment, I've got Derrick Jones in the studio. Derrick's the VP of Marketing of a great company called ClearCare Online. We're going to learn a lot about ClearCare in our third and fourth segments. And I've got on the line with us today, I've got Kenneth Shinozuka. And I want to introduce him. But before I introduce Kenneth, I want to give his bio or a little background on him. So I did tell you that he was this kid wonder. He's 17 years old. But, I met Kenneth at that Aging 2.0 Age Tech Expo that both Derrick and I attended in November, and he was the keynote speaker. He was labeled as the next generation entrepreneur. So a little bit about Kenneth. He was inspired by his experiences interacting with his grandfather, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease when he was 4 years old. Kenneth Shinozuka invented a sensor called SafeWander to help Alzheimer's patients. By the time he was 14, the SafeWander button sensor, a wearable sensor that alerts caregivers on their mobile devices as soon as the wearer leaves their bed or chair, has recently been pilot tested with the Aging 2.0 Alliance member, Kiro Senior Healthcare, resulting in valuable refinements. Kenneth, welcome to the show. Good to have you.
Thank you so much. It's an incredible pleasure to be speaking with you today.
Well, Kenneth, in my world, you're a rock star. And
you're much too kind.
You've done so many great things, and besides seeing Lester Holt interview you and and many other television personalities interview you, I feel very privileged to have you on the show.
Well, thank you so much. When I first started working on the sensor back when I was 14 years old, I had only intended to apply it on my grandfather. So to have received all this recognition is far beyond my wildest hopes and dreams.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you can share with our listening audience a little bit about SafeWander and how it came to be, because I know that this product has changed a little bit, and typical with technologies, they kind of morph as you learn more about its application and how to distribute it. So if you wouldn't mind, share with us its genesis, I did share with the audience about it with your grandfather, but its genesis and its development and where it is now.
Sure, definitely. So SafeWander is the world's first wearable sensor technology that sends an alert to a caregiver's mobile device as soon as the patient starts to get up from bed, no matter where the caregiver is. And the sensor sort of came about in November of 2012. Back then, my grandfather was wandering frequently out of bed at night, and he had actually had Alzheimer's since 2002. And my aunt was his primary caregiver, and she had to stay awake all night to keep an eye on my grandfather, and even then often failed to catch him leaving the bed. We knew that wandering often posed serious consequences to my grandfather's health, since sometimes he would fall down on the bathroom floor whenever he wandered. In fact, one time we found him lying there with blood trickling out of his head, and it turned out that he had been just sitting there with this injury for over 2 hours. So we knew that wandering posed a huge danger, and I wanted to take it into my own hands to be able to come up with a solution, since none of the existing technologies in the market were able to effectively address this problem of wandering out of bed at night. So one night when I was put on night watch for my grandfather, I thought about a solution. As soon as I saw him stepping out of the bed, I thought, why don't I put a pressure sensor on his heel? And then as soon as he steps onto the floor, the sensor would send an alert to a caregiver's smartphone. So that was the initial idea, and I spent about 2 years developing it. Then I tested it on both my grandfather and many patients in care facilities. While the sensor did work very well on patients who did want to wear a sock to sleep, like, for example, my grandfather, I found out that a lot of dementia patients don't actually want to wear a sock. So I came up with a non-sock solution called the button sensor, which is now available on my website, safewander.com, that essentially detects a person's wandering by determining changes in their body position. In addition, the sensor sends an alert to a caregiver's smartphone before the patient's feet even land on the floor. So it's also useful potentially for preventing falls and, if not that, reducing response time to falls.
Wow. And by the way, Kenneth said it really fast. It's SafeWander, SafeWander.com. And
yes.
And, you know, you have incredible statistics that you've shared relative to the number of people with dementia and stuff. You want to share that with our listening audience and what we're trying to accomplish with this?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started working on SafeWander, my idea was to only be able to solve the problems that were directly afflicting my family. So I just wanted to create a solution that would be able to reduce the burdens on my aunt and be able to protect my grandfather's safety. When I started testing the sensor at other care facilities, I discovered that wandering is actually a huge problem that affects many people across the world. In fact, it's estimated that there are over 47.5 million dementia patients across the world, and 60% of them wander. Caring for them also costs the nation a huge amount. I think it's something along the lines of $220 billion in 2013 alone. So wandering poses huge costs, both financial and mental. So I knew that I wanted to be able to deliver this solution to the millions of people worldwide who are suffering from this problem.
You know, it's really incredible what you've accomplished. And really, when you look at SafeWander and you see the components to what you can accomplish by having a loved one or someone you're caring for have this button. Now, the button is something that it can be attached to an article of clothing and not easily detached. And you've very cleverly put this thing together. And I encourage everyone to go check out your video on your website at safewander.com because the depiction of that is great. So you can secure it and attach to any clothes. And the cool thing is you can monitor from any room. And if you have multiple people, so if you are listening in today and you have a care home, care facility, or you're caring for multiple people that have dementia, you can do it from one mobile device, just have a sensor on each one of those people. The cool thing that I think you developed is the fact that it's a tiny, discrete patient. The patient doesn't really hear the alert off the smartphone device. So it doesn't make an alarm sound like bah, bah, bah. It's very discrete that has let you know that somebody's moving. And as you indicated to me, Kenneth, you get accurate records, and, of course, you get better care. And the best part of it is there's no recharging this button. It's a battery that lasts for approximately a year, and the battery, you know, you'll get a signal that the battery's going low, and you can just replace the battery. It's one of those coin-like batteries, right?
Yes, precisely.
No, I still can't believe that you're in high school, Kenneth, and you did this.
Thank you.
And it's interesting because many of our listening audience know my story. I created this home care company along with my family members because my brothers and I were caregivers for our mom. And, it really doesn't feel like work, what I do every day. It's more of a passion and a calling. And, Kenneth, I would imagine that's probably the same for you.
Absolutely.
So if you're interested in this button can be purchased. This Safe Wander Startup Kit can be purchased right from the website. It's $249, and it's real easy to assemble and put together. You really thought this thing through.
Thank you.
I love what you've got. You graduate high school, May?
Yes, May of this year.
And I think when you and I last spoke in November, you had applied to a number of schools, schools that I probably would have never gotten into when I graduated high school. But where are you going next fall?
I'll be going to Harvard next fall.
Fantastic. And have you declared a major and what you're going to decide to study in?
Well, for Harvard, you don't need to declare a major when you apply, but I'm thinking of neuroscience. I think the reason why is because when having grown up with my grandfather, I've been aware of the problems associated with Alzheimer's and the significant burdens that it imposes on family members my entire life. And I really want to be able to use neuroscience and sort of tread the border between engineering, neuroscience, and computer science to be able to find solutions to Alzheimer's, maybe even a cure. Obviously, those are lofty ambitions, but that's definitely something that I envision myself working on in the near future.
Well, we've talked about the disease often here on the show, and we have we have a couple of incredible resources right here in the Phoenix metropolitan area. One in particular is the Banner Alzheimer's Institute, which I have the pleasure of serving on their board. They have a website that I want to just share with our listening audience, and Kenneth, I want to share it with you too. If you don't know about this website, it's called endalznow.org. It's ENDALZ now.org. It's a registry. It's a collaborative registry that you'll see numbers of universities that are collaborating on Banner Health, Cleveland Clinic. It's really incredible, the updates that do come out and some of the successes that they're able, or should I say, the information that is able to be shared with the people that sign up for this registry. And I promise you, if you sign up, they don't spam you. They send you really good information, and sometimes you'll get something once a month, maybe twice a month. Derrick, we're ending this segment. Any questions for Kenneth while we have him on the line?
No, I think it's amazing that I think the latest stat I saw was a admission into a hospital for someone who falls and breaks a hip is around $20,000. And so the technology and innovation that Kenneth has done is effectively disrupt that. For $200 some bucks, a family can have the peace of mind. That is the type of innovation that will bend the cost curve. We have huge, significant long-term liabilities that are unfunded with Medicare, Medicaid. A lot of them stem to Alzheimer's and falls. That's a huge expense. But also, just for the listeners, just for the peace of mind to know that I've had a grandfather and an uncle who's wandered before too, and it is more than the money. It's the peace of mind.
Well, we're coming up on a break. Kenneth, if you want to hang around for the third segment, you're welcome to.
Sure, definitely.
We'd love to talk to you about long-term care, and we'll talk about as Derrick has shared, the disruptive technologies and their effects that they are having on healthcare and the delivery of healthcare. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. We'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Parents will be reunited with their children following a deadly shooting today at a Phoenix area high school. Police in Glendale, Arizona say the bodies of two 15-year-old girls were found at Independence High School with gunshot wounds and a weapon nearby. Authorities don't know what led to the shooting. Presidential candidates are now campaigning in South Carolina ahead of that state's primaries. Correspondent Sarah Murray.
As the race shifts to South Carolina, this has been a jam-packed week already, and next week is shaping up to be just as busy. George W. Bush is expected to join Jeb Bush on the campaign trail. Donald Trump has already had some snarky comments to make about that, so we'll see how that all plays out on Monday.
Bitter cold has descended on the East Coast. Meteorologist Chad Myers.
Well, you know, when I lived in Oklahoma, we used to call it when the wind comes rolling down the plains. But, boy, it has come right out of northern Canada, across the Yellowknife, across the Hudson Bay, and right into the eastern part of the country. It is a cold north wind today.
I'm Ann Cates.
What does it take to get to the Grammys? Talent. Passion.
No, stop again from the top.
Practice.
Me.
All those things and more. Actually, all it takes is a Citi MasterCard to get access to exclusive concerts and experiences. Book now at Priceless.com/music. MasterCard is a proud sponsor of the 58th Grammy Awards.
Certain terms and conditions apply.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
When people want to talk about money, they get their talking points right where you are now. Money Radio 1510 AM and 99.3 FM.
Now here's your Bloomberg Tax Tip, brought to you by the financial planning team at IQ Wealth Management.
This is a Bloomberg Tax Tip on audits. Less than 1% of taxpayers were audited by the IRS in 2014, but the states are turning up the heat with their own automated programs to track people, especially wealthy residents moving out. Tax attorneys say if you're one of them, heading for sunny Florida or Nevada, you might face years of scrutiny. Counting your days won't be enough, they say. Get a new driver's license, cancel gym and country club memberships in the old state, and transfer investments to the new one. I'm Peggy Collins, Bloomberg Radio.
Why pay more to have your taxes professionally prepared by a licensed CPA with a master's degree in taxation? For a limited time, IQ Wealth clients and Money Radio listeners may have their taxes prepared for 50% of what they paid to prepare last year. That's individual or business. Some restrictions apply. For details, call 480-902-3333. Appointments fill fast. Call now, 480-902-3333.
If you own or manage a small business, you have plenty to worry about besides your computers until they go down. Suddenly, you're losing time, productivity, and business. That's why you call Team Logic IT. They respond quickly to troubleshoot and repair problems. We can install all new computer networks or set up a proactive maintenance program that will back up your data and help keep your system from going down in the future. Call Team Logic IT today at 602-254-5558 or TLITPHOX.com.
The home of Northern Arizona University Lumberjack basketball in the Valley of the Sun is Money Radio, 99.3 FM and 1510 AM. The NAU Lumberjacks will be in Missoula to take on the defending Big Sky champion Montana Grizzlies. Saturday, February 13th. Pregame show starts at 6:30 p.m. NAU basketball at the Montana Grizzlies, 6:30 p.m. Thursday, February 13th on Money Radio, 99.3 FM, 1510 AM, and the Money Radio app.
LiveWatch helps you connect and respond up to 10 times faster in an emergency. LiveWatch has no long-term contracts. Save up to 50% off home security. Call 855-LiveWatch or visit livewatch.com.
I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now. The ride-hailing service Uber has agreed to pay more than $28 million and change its marketing language touting safe rides to settle two class-action lawsuits covering 25 million customers. The lawsuits claimed Uber misled customers about the safety of its service in marketing materials and by collecting a $1 fee for a safe rides fee on every trip since April of 2014. Uber plans to keep that $1 fee but change its name to a booking fee. Shares of Activision Blizzard are down more than 8%. The video game maker reported fourth quarter profit and revenue that missed Wall Street's expectations. The company also forecast earnings for the current quarter that were well short of analysts' estimates. The broader market is higher today with the Dow Jones Industrial Average ahead 247 points. The NASDAQ Composite is up 55 points. The S&P 500 is ahead 27 points. That's Your Money Now.
It's panic time. The boss just asked you when that new building will be completed, and you haven't even started yet. Well, don't panic. Call the name you know, General Steel. You've known General Steel for decades, and you know they'll save you about half the cost and about half the time of conventional construction. But did you know that General Steel has provided buildings for some of the biggest names in business and government? And did you know the General can provide pre-construction planning services for your total project? And I'll bet you didn't know you can get General Steel quality and save thousands. For example, a 40-foot by 60-foot building for under $22,000 or a 50 by 100 for under $35,000. That's right, 5,000 square feet for under $35,000. And all with General Steel's 50-year structural warranty. So don't panic. Call now and lock in some of the lowest prices this year. 866-95-STEEL. Call 866-95-STEEL today. Quick, the boss is coming. That's 866-957-8335.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. We're on our third segment, and we're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park. It is February 12th, and it's absolutely beautiful and sunny here in Arizona. And I've got Derrick Jones here in the studio with me. He's with Clear Care Online. He's the VP of Marketing. And I've also got Kenneth Shinozuka, and he's in New York City right now. He created a company called Sensa RX. The company has a product called SafeWander.com. And if you missed our first two segments, you can catch it right up on our website, and you can learn a little bit more about Kenneth. But I've asked Kenneth to stick around because we're talking about disruptive technologies and what it's done in the healthcare space. And we were talking about Alzheimer's. And I want to give some statistics for our listening audience to hear. You know, almost 2/3 of Americans with Alzheimer's disease are women. And women are primarily our caregivers that are out there. That in itself is scary. 1 in 3 seniors dies with Alzheimer's or another dementia. It is the only cause of death in the top 10 in America that cannot be prevented, cured, or slowed presently. It's the 6th leading cause of death. And, you know, when you look at cancer, you look at heart disease, you look at COPD, I mean, every one of them, diabetes, every one of them is improving. And we have Alzheimer's where it is becoming more and more. Those numbers are growing. So pretty soon it will probably be the 5th leading cause of death. And right now, every 67 seconds, somebody in the United States develops this disease. It's estimated we got about 5.3 million Americans that have this disease, and 5.1 are 65 and older. So we do have over 200,000 people with early onset. And then lastly, I just want to share with you, right now it's costing our economy $226 billion. And in 2050, it's going to be over $1.1 trillion. If we can't find a way to really shut this thing down, if we may not find a cure, but, you know, look at AIDS. You know, we have stopped, for the most part, people with HIV positive getting AIDS. We have pharma, big pharma, that's been able to prevent that. So Kenneth is on the show. He's talking about SafeWander. You know, Derrick, you shared a statistic about falls. If we can prevent falls using technology, and we can prevent people from wandering and getting lost and getting exposed to the elements, we are going to be much better off as a society, and we're going to try to keep those numbers down.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a number of devices and technologies out there, and one of which Kenneth developed for all the listeners out there too. Check out the website, Aging 2.0. I mean, there are hundreds of concepts that are out there today, and I would split them into really 2 categories. There are those technologies that are coming into place, like Kenneth's, that absolutely helps the actual care recipient themselves, the older adult who needs wander prevention. And then there are a whole bunch of technology concepts that are helping the family members too, because Bob, you mentioned the stat about what it's going to cost in the trillions of dollars to support those with Alzheimer's. I believe that stat actually, as big of a number that is, it refers to the direct care cost of Alzheimer's. When you consider the impact that it has on family members, that people actually leave the workplace, starting to become not nearly as much as maternity leave, etc. But there is a huge, significant part of the population who's leaving the workplace to take care of older adults. It typically hasn't been something that's talked about in the mainstream media, and that's why we're talking about it.
And, with Kenneth, and Kenneth, jump in if you will, you actually saw your aunt, who was the primary caregiver for your grandfather. And you were like, we got to come up with something, right? That was the genesis of you creating this.
Exactly. Yeah, so I just wanted to add on to what was just said. I think what's ironic is that caregivers are often sometimes the most undercared people in our population. So when I was testing my sensor at a lot of facilities, what I realized is that a lot of the caregivers who are working there are oftentimes underpaid, and they're overworked, and they're overstressed. And many of them just feel like they can't handle all the burdens that they have to deal with whenever they care for patients. And I think that was definitely the case with my aunt. She had to stay awake all night to keep an eye on my grandfather, and obviously that imposed on her huge fatigue. And she at the same time had 2 kids and also had a part-time job. So caring for my grandfather was extremely difficult for her. And as you said, caregiving is something that consumes trillions of dollars every year, and it's something that we need to do in order to be able to address the burdens that are on a lot of these caregivers.
Absolutely. And, at Cypress Home Care Solutions, Derrick knows this, and Kenneth, I'm going to share this with you as well as our listening audience. In the last 6 months, we created a dementia Alzheimer's program for our caregivers. And not only was it for our caregivers, but it's for the family caregivers. There's a great product that's out there, and I've had the founders of this company on our show about 1.5 years ago. It's called All's Better, ALZBETTER.com. And they've created a product that creates structure and activities for loved ones that are afflicted with this disease. And one of the things that we did with the folks that created this product is we asked them if we could modify it a little bit, because there are a lot of families out there that don't necessarily want a caregiver in there. And believe it or not, as Derrick and Kenneth have shared, there's a technology component that is very, very important. And the technology component to this thing is really, it creates the activities that the loved one or person that you're caring for them to participate and create structure in their days. So we get a quality of life measurement utilizing the technology. There's a gateway, a portal, so that family members or clinicians can come in and see how that loved one or that patient or that person that they care so much about, how they are doing with those activities. And as you know, Derrick, you know this, and Kenneth, you know this firsthand, people that are afflicted with this disease can't tell you what's wrong. They can't communicate. But if they're not participating in this activity, which they normally do, and then they don't participate in the next one, that's a warning sign. There's something going on. Maybe we need to get them in to see their PCP. They might have a urinary tract infection. They may have something going. They might have a fever, and we don't know it. But it is cause to take a step back rather than confronting that person and getting in their face or having conflict. You're trying to reach a resolution.
It's amazing. I think a lot of probably the listeners who don't recognize that they are actually caregivers. I always tell this story. My mom is she's a teller at a bank, and we hired a home care service just like Bob. And she came in and said, "Hey, we hired this company," and all the ladies that were at the bank they said, "I have been a caregiver and I didn't even realize that I was one." And they had all these experiences about helping older adults. And I think as we think about how we're going to solve these challenges, to your point earlier, Bob, about the shortage of caregivers, we need to acknowledge and just really embrace the family caregivers who've been out there. And then also to make sure that we give them the right tools and support, like the tools and technology that Kenneth's company provides.
You're spot on. And, it's interesting. Caregiving is something that is going to affect all of us. Every single one of us will either be a caregiver, will receive caregiving. We may be currently caregivers. And, it's something that affects all of us, and we need to come up with resources, and technology is going to help us assist those caregivers in delivering optimum care. You know, Kenneth, I know you got some after-school programs going on. You're welcome to stick around for the fourth segment. If not, you please do, because we're going to talk a little bit about Derrick's company and ClearCare, because they're really breaking down the paradigms out there and really coming up with great tools to help deliver care. With that, you're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm Bob Roth, your host. We'll be right back.
Now it's time for the Secured Financial Solutions Educated Investor Series.
Okay, what would you tell listeners who have an annuity in place and don't feel that they need any advice?
I would ask them, do you have enough confidence in your current advisor to get a second opinion? A lot of people feel ignorance is bliss, but when it comes to your health and wealth, I cannot stress enough how important it is to get a second opinion to validate and reinforce your understanding of your current situation.
So what can listeners do now if they are listening to the program and getting a second opinion?
Simply call our office at 800-957-5604, extension 200, to set up a time for a complimentary strategy session. Whether you own a high-risk, high-fee variable annuity or an old-generation income annuity, allow us to get your insurance carrier on the phone and ask the right questions so that you will end the strategy session with a much better understanding of what you currently own.
Did you say that you get the insurance carrier on the phone as well?
We want you to know that the information we are providing is accurate, and what better place to get that information than from the insurance carrier themselves. The insurance industry can have a very complicated language when it comes to understanding annuities, and how you ask the question can result in different answers. Allow one of our advisors to ask the right questions and gather all the facts about your existing annuity. Then it's our job to take this complicated language and simplify it so it's easy for you to understand. Once you have a complete understanding of your existing annuity, you can then make the educated decision if the one you have is in your best interest and is still accomplishing your goals.
Would you like to know which is the best annuity on the market? Then call Secured Financial Solutions, LLC at 800-257-5604, extension 200 to set up your strategy session. Or visit dreamretire.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Hodor Investment Management, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Security transactions for Hodor Investment Management clients are placed through TD Ameritrade, Trust Company of America, and ED&F Man Capital Markets. Annuity products are offered separately through Script Financial Solutions, LLC.
LiveWatch helps you connect and respond up to 10 times faster in an emergency. LiveWatch has no long-term contracts. Save up to 50% off home security. Call 855-LiveWatch or visit livewatch.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth. You're listening to Health Futures. We're on our final segment, Derrick. If you're just tuning in, we're on our fourth segment of our show here on February 12th, coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park. I've got Kenneth Shinozuka on the line. He's from Sensa RX. He's got this incredible product called SafeWander.com. Like I said, you can catch our first three segments. You can learn a lot more about it on our website at CypressHomeCare.com. But I want to jump into this. I want to talk to my guest that I have here in the studio, Derrick Jones, and his company, ClearCare Online. But I got to tell you, I love what the technology space is doing. I see these young entrepreneurs like Kenneth and others that I met at Aging 2.0 that just have this passion, that want to make a difference and help people that are aging to successfully age in place. And you know what? ClearCare Online is no different. I mean, it is incredible. This company has been in my home care space less than 5 years. These guys are the dominating home care software provider with over 1 million caregivers out there delivering care. So I want Derrick just to come on our show, talk to us a little bit about ClearCare. How did they get involved in the senior care space? You guys are doing an incredible study with the school that Kenneth is going to be attending.
That's right.
Harvard Medical School. So take it over. Tell us about ClearCare Online.
Yeah, well, ClearCare Online, we're a Silicon Valley-based technology company helping to solve some of the world's largest problems in aging. Our founder started the company after his grandmother was receiving care in Texas, over 1,500 miles away. and he didn't know what was going on in the home. They hired a home care agency. They didn't know what was going on. The family was all over the country. They wanted to stay connected. They had no idea what was going on. So being a developer, he did what he knew how to do. He developed a solution so that the caregivers, instead of doing paper logs, they ended up filling out the activities, what happened in the home, what the sentiment was, and they would, instead of faxing those slips, they would actually update that information on a mobile app. From there, the company just grew. Home care agencies loved that particular product called the Family Room, and they continued asking for more tools to help really not only help the home care agency run their business, but to really change the client and care recipient experience and how technology could really make this process, which is normally not one that people plan for, just make it a lot more efficient and keep all the players connected.
Now, you're talking about Jeff Nutt, right?
That's correct.
And Jeff Nutt, I got a chance to meet him. He's their president and CEO. And really, Jeff is no different than Kenneth Shinozuka. He's no different than Bob Roth. I mean, we all saw a need. We were passionate enough, entrepreneur enough to say, hey, we got to create a solution. And great minds are helping us create those solutions. Now, I know I teed up the Harvard Medical School study, and I think this is really important, especially when it comes to caregiving. Can you give us a little bit of info on the genesis of it and where things are at today?
You know, it's really interesting, the genesis of it, but I'll share the stat. It's only 8% of people who need the home care services that Bob's company provides can afford it. You know, today, Medicare and Medicaid, in most cases, send seniors and disabled adults to assisted living and nursing homes, which in a lot of cases is the right move, but people want to age at home. But today, in current day, private pay home care services are not traditionally used to help prevent admissions into the hospital or when people are being discharged from the hospital. So the Harvard Intervention Program is a partnership between Harvard Medical School, Clear Care Online, and a national home care provider called Right at Home. It's under the umbrella of at the Laura and John Arnold Foundation there, which is doing a lot of great work in the senior care space. Really, the premise of the program is we're working with caregivers who, at the end of their shift, are completing a few simple questions that Harvard has identified as being potentially indicative of the senior having an acute admission into a hospital. So they're able to answer simple questions because the caregivers are not nurses, but they're able to find little things like, is there issues with wandering? Are there issues with toileting? Are there issues with diet, to help hopefully stem off the need from those people actually going with those conditions, actually not being taken care of, and then actually intervening with geriatricians to make sure that they can avoid tens of thousands of dollars of home care costs.
Home care costs and readmission costs. You know, it is amazing what you are doing in terms of preventing, you know, the costs just escalating. I mean, technology is it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we always go back to that stat. I mean, 8% of people who need these services can afford it. And unfortunately, today, most families, and Bob, I'd ask you, most families who need home care service and end up purchasing home care services only do it after something has happened. A fall has happened. There's been, mom gets lost in the car because she has Alzheimer's, and then they take the keys away. What ClearCare is really trying to promote is that these types of services, we should be helping seniors when they're older and not waiting until they fall and break a hip. But the industry, we don't have the data to prove how the home care services at a large scale actually prevent and actually lower the cost of healthcare expenses, and it can actually bend the cost curve with Medicare and Medicaid if we can actually provide these services before there's a really costly hospital admission.
And I want our listening audience to hear this, because the point that Derrick's making is we have an opportunity to be proactive rather than reactive. And I'm going to tell you, as a home care agency, when people call our home care agency, they're calling us not to just see about our services. They're calling us because they need us. And in the medical profession, they talk about an event. So an event has happened, whether it be a broken hip, whether it be a cardiac event, an upper respiratory event, an illness, something has happened. That's why they're calling us. So we have an opportunity to be proactive and delivering care at home, so we can prevent that event from happening by utilizing some of the knowledge base that we are gaining from this Harvard Medical School study.
Yeah, the results have been very interesting thus far. We're expecting a large-scale publication in the spring of this year. So the program's about a year and a half in of the 3-year study. We initially started in 20 home care agencies in the Northeast. We expanded it to about 100 locations.
Wow.
And we're very excited about what the results are showing early, and we'll be not only sharing the results just even with the home care community, but everyone who has ever taken care of a loved one and has had to make sacrifices with their job, with their family. We know that those sacrifices are big, and financially they are big investments when you have to invest in home care. So we're looking for the results in the spring, and we can't wait to share them with people.
You know, it's interesting. You know, Clear Care is a Silicon Valley-based company. If you want to learn more about them, you can find them at clearcareonline.com. And you know, Derrick, if you can share with us, because you know there are a lot of software providers in our space, and in less than 5 years, you've captured the majority share, if you would. And a lot of it has to do with funding and the things that you're able to do. You have raised, or should I say Jeff and the board has raised a lot of money. And you told me a statistic on what you guys are spending daily on innovations and new technologies. It's amazing what you guys are doing.
That's right. Well, we have some big challenges to solve.
Fast we need to.
We believe, I mean, we sell software and technology, but when we talk about our company and we think about our company, it's not necessarily about selling software to home care companies. We're looking to solve the biggest challenge in healthcare. We have a healthcare and aging crisis right now with people not being able to afford the care that they need, not knowing where they need to go. And we want to make sure that they have access and they can afford those types of services. Technology's disrupted everything, from the way we call a taxi and Uber. I don't know if people probably saw at the Super Bowl, we had some of the halftime performers stay at an Airbnb instead of a hotel. Technology's changing everything, and technology will change how we deliver healthcare to seniors, and we will make sure that more people can access the healthcare that they need, and that's where ClearCare is investing its time and resources.
I love it. I love it. Kenneth Shinozuka, you're on the line. We're getting ready to say goodbye. Please give us some final thoughts and comments, if you would, about where we're going and some of the things that you foresee in the future.
Absolutely. Well, I just wanted to echo what was said. I believe that technology will play a key role, I think, in every industry, in every major sector of our lives in the future. And I think one of the biggest problems today is that in terms of the healthcare industry, the technology is there. We definitely have the ability to deliver a lot of these technologies that will be able to alleviate the burdens on these caregivers. The problem is that A, they're not widespread, and B, oftentimes they're not tailored just for the healthcare population. So oftentimes we have people worldwide who are making really great solutions who are...
Kenneth?
Who are,
That's our sign. We're winding down. Thank you, Kenneth, for being on the show. I'm going to definitely have you back. We're Health Futures. Derrick and Kenneth, thank you for being on the show.
You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Talking Money with Steve Netzel on Tuesday mornings at 9 has quickly become one of the must-hear shows on the Money Radio Network. The Talking Money audience has grown thanks to Steve's straightforward approach and genuine concern for you and your financial future. Steve and his team at Netzel Financial have done the homework for you. It's time someone cared as much about your money as you do. Talking Money with Steve Netzel, Tuesday mornings at 9 on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Money Radio 1510
and 99.3 FM.
Is KFNN Mesa Phoenix and K257CD Phoenix. Be sure to check out our new afternoon show, The Booker Report with Rob Booker. He'll be waiting for your texts with questions about investing decisions. Right now, the Dow is up 294 points, S&P 500 up 32, the NASDAQ is up 68 points.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news. And we begin now.